Alright, what's going on, people? Welcome back to the channel, and today I want to talk about the centre back transfer window for Liverpool and with our season opener with Bournemouth. So it seems like 35 is the magic number. 35 million. 35 million pounds for Mark Guehi and 35 million euros for the 18-year-old Italian defender from Parma, Giovanni Leoni. I hope I got the name right. So I think it's evident from the Community Shield that we have to address our centre-back problems, and in one fell swoop, according to Fabrizio Romano and I think David Ornstein, it seems like the talks for our not our two centre-backs yet, but for Mark Guehi for 30 million plus 5 million add-ons, all right, and 35 million pounds for Giovanni Leoni. You know, the talks are progressing very well, and I think hopefully it's a matter of time that we get these two centre backs, and therefore addressing the centre back problems, the centre back issues that Liverpool have faced ever since we sold Kwanzaa and ever since Joe Gomez was injured during the preseason tour. And this brings I think with those two hopefully being resolved by maybe next week or something, hopefully, then all eyes are on Isak. Speaking of Isak, let me just say something a little bit about this whole saga of Alexander Isak, Newcastle and Liverpool. I get it. Newcastle, I get it. If you're a Newcastle fan, you don't want Isak to leave unless it's for 150 million pounds, or at least that's what Newcastle are valuing Alexander Isak for Liverpool to pay if Liverpool wants Isak. Now, over this last month or so, with the way Isak has been behaving, not showing up for training, going to Real Sociedad for personal training, and now saying that he's not going to play if he stays in Newcastle, I think that's very unprofessional. And I've said this in a previous video that it will not be a good look for Alexander Isak moving forward, because if he can do this at Newcastle, imagine if he joins Liverpool and let's say a couple of years later Real Madrid starts banging at the door. Is Isak going to behave the same way? That's something that Isak did not consider, evidently, and it's going to look bad for him. With regards to Newcastle, and I'm not gonna do any impressions of a mob boss or anything like that, but for Newcastle fans to be complaining about Isak's behavior, let me say this, and this might sound controversial to Newcastle fans: blame your club. Blame the club. If you want to point the finger at Isak for his unprofessional behavior, yes, I get it. I would think the same way too. But at the same time, point the finger at the club. Newcastle United Football Club knows very well, with the PSR restraints put on them, that they have to sell in order to buy. And already during this season, or at least this transfer window, you've only brought in Elanga and recently a defender from I think AC Milan called Malik Thiaw. Your combined spending for those two, as far as I know, is just a little over 18 million pounds. In your list of transfer targets, Hugo Ekitike, for example, you want Hugo Ekitike to pair up with Isak, and what happened? Ekitike signs for Liverpool because you didn't want to sell Isak. You wanted Benjamin Sesko, but you didn't sell Isak because of despite the PSR issues. And what has happened now? Benjamin Sesko has joined Manchester United. So, really, who's at fault for this whole mess? Is it Isak? Is it Liverpool? No, it's actually Newcastle. Because they're too stubborn to sell. And I get it. You don't have to sell, but are you willing to live with the consequences? I've said this in previous videos. You know, Newcastle, if you sold Isak earlier, let's say for 120 million, for 130 million, you could have got Ekatike. You could have got Ekatike and, let's say, Dusan Vlahovic for that amount. Or let's say you could have got Ekatike and, let's say, Sesko. Because you were targeting Sesko before Manchester United swooped in. Those two top strikers could have been yours as long as you sold Isak, but you chose not to. So, now you're living with the consequences, and now Isak is saying, "Yo, I'm not gonna play. I want to leave. I'm professional. I'm professional behavior. I get it. I agree with you there. But are you gonna stick with a player that doesn't want to be there? Of course not. You're gonna have to sell. And so, what are you gonna do, Newcastle? Are you gonna play hardball and be stubborn? Because if you are, it's not gonna affect Liverpool. We're not gonna be affected. We're not gonna be affected. If we don't get Isak, we'll find somebody else. We probably swoop in for Rodrigo, with reports saying rumors that Rodrigo is being targeted by Man City. That's another conversation altogether. But you know what? We'll still swap in for Rodrigo. And if we start the opener with Bournemouth against Bournemouth with Rodrigo, Ekatike, Salah, and Wirtz, that's fine. But the club is going to be affected the most. Going back to the Isak thing, this whole saga, the club that's getting affected the most is Newcastle. And Newcastle have only got themselves to blame. Sorry, but that's how it is. So, and I've said this in a previous video. Just I know that I think Isak will not play at St James's Park when Liverpool visits on the second game. That's not going to happen. With this whole saga mess, Newcastle has put himself at a disadvantage when they host Liverpool, because chances are they will not play Isak. No way. Because the Newcastle fans will boo the living crap out of him, even if he's a Newcastle player. So it's a lose-lose situation for Newcastle. What are you going to do? Well, it's none of my business because I support Liverpool. But Newcastle they put themselves in a bind, and let's see how they're going to get themselves out of it. But do the right thing. You know, if Isak wants to leave, sell him, and don't sell him for 150 million. I mean, 120, 130 million is more than enough, and you can still get quality strikers with the Isak money, not Coutinho money anymore. This is Isak money. You can get two strikers. Dusan Vlahovic is still available at Juventus, and if you want Nicholas Jackson from Chelsea, by all means go ahead. He's maybe he's not fit for Chelsea, but he could fit for Newcastle. Depends on how Eddie Howe is going to implement him into his system. So, you know, we'll see what happens from now until the end of the transfer window. But before I continue to our season opening against Bournemouth, there's something I wanted to share with all of you. As you know, I'm a subscriber to aftv, and there was this little interesting clip from aftv, or I think it was drsports, I can't remember, which was entitled El Deludico. Yeah, now this is a very, very interesting video. It's a very entertaining video, if you will. Now everybody who subscribes to aftv knows this guy called Ty, and people have been calling him deluded. I can see why, you know, despite his protests. Sorry, Ty, but your opinions, for the most part, are deluded. But here's the thing. There's a Liverpool fan in that panel that most people call Liverpool's version of Ty, and his name is FJ. And listening to the two of them go back and forth, I can see why people say that FJ, you know, he can sound deluded as well. I guess every fan base has his own deluded fan. So what can I say? You know, because and because FJ did make some claims that even I, as a Liverpool fan, I'm not going there. I'm not going to where he's going. Okay. The one that sticks in my mind is always the Salah versus Henry debate. And now FJ says that Salah is levels clear of Henry. I find that disrespectful. Even as a Liverpool fan, I have to show the proper respect. You know, where Henry is one of the Premier League greats, maybe the greatest, as some other fans would say. Definitely Arsenal fans would say that. But here's where I stand with the Salah and Henry debate. As far as I'm concerned, Salah and Henry are equal. Let me say that again, okay? And aftv, if you're watching this, listen very carefully to what I'm going to say. Mohamed Salah and Thierry Henry are equal at this moment in time, in my opinion. Okay? They are both Premier League winners. They're both FA Cup winners. I think they're both League Cup winners. I'm not sure about Henry, but whatever. But they have individual accolades. I think equal individual accolades that makes them even. Neither one of them is greater than the other, right? And let me say this again. Salah and Henry are level with each other. Salah has earned the reputation and earned the prestige to say, or at least for me to say, that he's equal with Henry. Now, if Liverpool retain the Premier League this coming season, then I probably would take a pinch out of FJ's claim and say Salah edges Henry. Let me say that again. Right now they're both equal. But if Salah is the main reason why Liverpool retains the league, then by the slimmest of margins, because I still respect Thierry Henry, by the slimmest of margins, Salah edges past Henry. But he's not levels clear. I will agree that he's not levels clear, and I have the utmost respect for Thierry Henry, just like you guys at aftv have the utmost respect for Mohamed Salah. And so right now, as things stand, they're both even. They're both equal level. That's all I got to say about that. So as far as Ty and FJ are concerned, they want to battle, they want to argue with each other. By all means, go ahead. I mean, like I said, every fan has his own every fan base has his own delusional fan. I guess these two are representing Arsenal and Liverpool. You know, but as far as the Salah and Henry debate is concerned, right now they're both equal. Lastly, let's shift gears to Bournemouth and our opener. So Friday night or Saturday, wee hours in the morning Singapore time, Liverpool host Bournemouth at Anfield. So as things stand, I think Ryan Gravenberch is still suspended because of the red card that he received on the last game of last season. So he won't be around. So who do I think is going to start? Well, I think you probably see almost the exact same team that went against Crystal Palace during the Community Shield. Maybe the only exception would be, instead of Curtis Jones, I would see Alexis McAllister starting. So the lineup would most likely be Alisson in goal, obviously. Van Dijk and Konate are the centre backs. Frimpong is your right back. Kirkis is your left back. And then if Arnestock plays the double pivot, it's McAllister and Szoboszlai, because Wirtz has got to play the number 10 role. Ekitike is going to be the striker. Salah's on the right wing. Gakpo's on the left wing. I think that's how we're gonna line up in our season opener. We're gonna open up the Premier League season. This is the first game of the Premier League season, so I think that's gonna be the lineup for Bournemouth. Now, what would the score be? That's an interesting one. my prediction for the score for our opener. If we can do, I think a 2-0 win is reasonable. But given our defensive current defensive frailties, because we still don't have Mark Guehi and Guehi and Leoni, they won't even if we do sign them over the next 24 hours, they won't be anywhere near the starting lineup. They won't even be on the bench. So I think my prediction, I'm going to go with a 3-1. I'm going to go with 3-1 Liverpool, and I hope that Ekatike and Wirtz will open their accounts. Will score. I mean, Ekatike has already scored on his debut at the Community Shield. I hope Wirtz gets a goal. I hope Salah continues his record for opening day goals. So yeah, I'm predicting a 3-1 win at Anfield. What do you think the score is going to be? Let me know. And I think that'll be it. And so I hope to do like a recap of the match once it's done. Maybe a weekend recap show, kind of like drsports weekend roundup. So let me know in the comments. What do you think the score is going to be. Let me know also in terms of the Isak Saga, who's really at fault here, because I would really love to hear your points of view. So as always, like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.